All right. I think we are live. Welcome, everyone, to our third Food AI collab conversation, Ethics of AI in the Food System. My name is Mike Wolf, your host for today. And today's conversation will be with Father Andrea Ciucci of the Vatican's Pontifical Academy for Life, where we
Hi,
will
everybody.
discuss. Hey, welcome, Father Andrea. We're excited to have you. And we also have with us Sarah Reversi, my good friend, who is in a beautiful place right now. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
Oh
Ciao
my
from
gosh, look at that.
Pollica, the
I think
cradle of the Mediterranean diet.
everyone wishes they were with you in that blue zone, eating amazing food with a great view. Sarah, you introduced me to Father Ciucci, and you've done some work with him uh, on the Rome Call for AI Ethics. Tell us a little bit about how you got to know him and how you got introduced to him.
As you know, I love to connect with bright minds and good friends. And Father Andrea, as well as you, is a longtime friend. And we met the first time talking, of course, about food and tech, and not only, also about gastro diplomacy and the power of food and many other things. And what was very fascinating was that basically Father Andrea is the great scientist, researcher, super techie guy. And he was talking, he's laughing, but it's true. We were talking a lot about the ethics behind that. So Father Andrea, with our ecosystem, has been playing many different roles, mentors in our boot camps, training our climate shapers, talking about food and tech and lab-grown meat and technologies. And of course, now is the time in which we have to talk about the role of AI and how AI is going to impact and change and transform in a better way or in a wrong way our life in the future. So, as you know, I was pinging you saying we need to talk about AI, we need to learn more. And of course, we are interviewing in this journey many friends working on AI from the scientific perspective, the tech perspective, industry, innovation, and startup. But I strongly believe that approaching AI and making it together a deep dive and a brainstorm about what's really the role from the cultural perspective and the ethics behind that, it's absolutely critical if we want to nudge this transformation and if we value this technology. So I really look forward to hear between the two of you what is going to come out of this conversation. And I invite all of our networks to connect because I think that this is going to be a different conversation from all the others that we were hosting in this journey. So thank you so much to the Spoon and Michael for this opportunity to keep going, exploring and learning together. And thank you, Don Andrea, as usual.
Of course. Thank you, Sarah. We will rejoin you at the very end as we say goodbye. Thank you so much. We'll see you in just a moment. And I want to encourage everyone who is listening in to feel free to ask questions. We're trying a new platform today. We're using StreamYard. If you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, we should actually get your questions. So if you want to comment, we should see those. So feel free to ask those. We'll be taking those near the last 10 or 15 minutes. Father Ciucci, welcome, and thank you so much again for joining us. I'm excited to have a conversation with you. You know, we had a little bit of a pre-conversation yesterday where you told me a little bit about yourself and the work you've done. But for our listeners and those viewing in today, tell us about your role with the Catholic Church and the Vatican and how you are helping to shape its approach towards AI.
Well, and thank you, really thank you for this opportunity. I'm a simple priest, a little bit old because I'm 57. I'm original from Milan, Italy. I'm Italian priest, but I've been working in the Vatican since 2011. In the first part of this time at the Pontifical Council for the Family, and from 2016 at the Pontifical Academy for Life. That is a Vatican academy, so a group of scientists from all over the world. And these scientists have the idea that their scientific research can help and protect human life. This is the office in which I work and I serve. I'm the coordinator of the central office of this incredible group of scientists from all over the world. This is my role. And so in this role, I have the opportunity to learn a lot, because I'm used to be in meetings in which I don't know anything of the topic discussed at the beginning, but I have the opportunity to stay at the table probably with the most important expert of the topic in the world. And so at the end of the meeting, I learned a lot of things. And the second opportunity that I have is that this academy is an international academy, and so I had the opportunity to discover the world, the different cultures, the different situations, the different approaches to the problem of connected to human life, and approaches to the scientific research. So I'm a very lucky man. This is, in a synthesis, who I am, a lucky man.
That's great. What a great intro. And I think Sarah talked a little bit about it up front, and I think you mentioned it, but your organization was developed the Rome Call for AI Ethics.
Yeah.
And shorthand for that is Rome Call. This document that really was helping to define, what the approach you think that we as a society and we as a humanity should take around building an ethics framework for AI as it becomes more widespread and takes a greater role in society. Talk a little bit about this Rome Call.
Yes, this is the Rome Call. When in 2016, Pope Francis renewed the Academy, he asked us two things. The first was, please remember that human life is not a Catholic topic, but is a topic connected to all the human people in this world. And so please do not speak only with Catholic or Christian, but also with other religions, non-believers. And so we enlarged the group of our scientists. And the second thing that Pope Francis asked us was, please remember that if you want to promote human life, you cannot close your attention only on the 5 minutes of human life, or the last 5 minutes. So the classic topic in bioethics, abortion, euthanasia, for example, but also please take care of the 80 years in between, because you must protect all human life, and all human life must be protected. And so we started working on a point that appeared instantly very important: the connection between human life and new technologies. This is the point that characterizes this time. We live in a very technological era, and new technologies are really changing human life, promoting, sometimes disrupting human life. And we started working on this topic, and different steps on robotics, and at the end of this process, we started to work on artificial intelligence. And we were able to start a discussion about the ethics of artificial intelligence. Pope Francis created a new word, algorithmic, the ethic of algorithm, against the algocracy. So the power of algorithm on human life. And we work a lot with different subjects, companies, universities, governments, policy, different subjects. And we are able to write this document. And this document is very simple and short. This document offers six ethical principles: transparency, inclusion, responsibility, impartiality, reliability, security, and privacy, but also an anthropological framework. 3 short chapters: ethics, education, and rights. So this is the Rome Call. This Rome Call was launched the the beginning of 2020, just before the lockdown in Italy. It was probably the last event in Rome before the terrible lockdown we lived. And we had this document, in my opinion, as three specific that make different from others documents like this one. The first is that is promoted by a religious agency and not, for example, for the Association of Engineers, that is probably more comfortable. And the second is that offer, as I told, an anthropological framework, not only some principles. And the third is that this document was signed by the president of Microsoft, the vice president of IBM, just 15 days ago by the CEO of Cisco, the general director of FAO, some governments, 150 universities, and so on. So, and the keynote speech at the beginning of the ceremony was made by Pope Francis. So, okay, it's a big group, of course. So we had the opportunity to put around the same table these very powerful and different subjects.
Yeah.
All together working on the opportunity to have an ethical vision on artificial intelligence.
Very impressive group of signees. It sounds like an amazing event. I think that was 2020. And since that time, you guys have continued your work. I want to ask you, in our conversation, I was really taken by how, I guess, how much opportunity and how optimistic you are around AI. And I think what's interesting is, I often think of the Vatican and the church as a very conservative institution, but you guys are very open towards embracing change when it comes to technology and AI in a sense. Can you talk to that?
I'm sad when I listen that Catholic Church is conservative. Very sad. Because, I'm not a man of the past. I'm a man of the future and of the present. Because, 30 seconds of theology, but the Catholic Christian experience grow up in the Easter of Jesus, an opening on the future, a new life open to the future. The church is, in my opinion, Catholic Church Christian experience is one of the subjects that can help humanity to think and to project the future, not to conserve the past. Of course, we have a tradition. No one wants to cancel this tradition, but the tradition makes us able to think a new future and does not condemn us to repeat the past. So I'm a man of the future. And in this sense, I think that we have this optimistic approach to everything we have that good, impressive, positive, that our mind can create. Yes, we have. The Bible says that we were made at the image of God. So we are co-creator. Now we can build a world. We can build our history. And so, and the tech is one of the chapter of this co-creation. Yes. Of course, we are not ingenious or we are not naive. We perfectly know that every stage of human history has great opportunities and great challenges and great problems. Yes, we are not naive. But in an optimistic way, we are able to think also the problems and try to solve it.
And there's no shortage of problems facing the globe and humanity. And I think you guys think a lot and address a lot of those. Specifically, as we look at the food system, what are some of the big challenges around food systems, food equity and access that you think about, and how do you think AI could potentially accelerate our innovation that could bring potential solutions to those issues?
when I started to work on AI, I discovered that one of the most important place in which system of artificial intelligence are introduced is actually food, agriculture, is one of the place in which a lot of system artificial intelligence are used. And this particularly sounds good, very well sounds good for me. Two things. The first is, today, oftenly I heard a strange contraposition between nature and technology. We put one versus the other. If we want to protect nature, you must refuse technologies because technology changed the nature. No, I'm sorry, it's not correct. A pure nature doesn't exist, or exists as an idea, not in the concrete historical situation. So human people inhabit this world in a technological way. Since the first time we light on the first fire to cook something, no, so it's a technological, So there isn't a pure nature food, for example. Our food is always a technological food. So we have a new technology. Okay, great. It's a great opportunity. For what? Two things. First of all, to give food to everybody. I think that at the beginning of the 21st century, we have 800 million people with problem, with hunger. This is a terrible scandal. It's a scandal. It's a great scandal. And if I think how many dollars we are spending today for wars and not to feed human, it's terrible, really terrible. And the second point is we have a great technological opportunity not to make all the world the same, but to protect differences, different cultures, different agricultural systems, different seeds, different way to produce food, different cook tradition. So I think this is one of the challenge of the artificial intelligence transformation. We must work to produce a technology that is able not to create the same in the world, but to protect the differences. We are not equal. We are equal, but not the same, of course. No? And food is one of the places in which these differences are perfectly shown.
That's so interesting, and I love what you say there. I want to dive a little bit deeper on this idea of preserving our specific cultures around the world, because when I think of AI, oftentimes it seems like we're moving towards possibly the domination of a few global platforms, whether that's a OpenAI or a Google or whatever. Oftentimes they're headquartered here in the US. And there's a lot of talk in the AI world of bias built into the AI systems, oftentimes dependent on the data that it's training on. When you think about global platforms powering a lot of the future AI systems and we also talk about preserving the local food cultures. Is there a tension there? Or do you think this is something that we can work through if we think about this and develop, I guess, a guidance system working with folks like yourself?
At this point of the development of these new technologies, I think that the real problem are connected not to an anthropological transition, but a social change. So today, often I heard about speaking about transhumanism, posthumanism. I don't know if this is the real point. But I'm sure that we have to manage a big challenge. So new technologies are really changing our social life. This is, in my opinion, the point. And if we need a place in which we must work together, this is exactly the point, because how to collect, to preserve, to use data, this is one of the points. If new technologies are enlarging the differences, the divide between different parts of humanity, this is a problem. If new technologies are reducing our freedom, this is a problem. So the social question is, in my opinion, the real point today. And the food is exactly one of the places in which the social construction is particularly involved. So which world we want. We want to build and to... So in this sense, I think that an ethical framework, an ethical approach and an anthropological framework today is particularly needed, because we need to preserve human society. And in the human society, above all, the little one, the poorest, the weakest we have in the world, also in the food area, of course, of our problem. And I think this is possible if we produce two actions. The first is we need to work together. For example, in Europe, the European community produced a very important law, the AI Act. It's a very important document that regulates artificial intelligence in Europe. Good, because more than 20 countries work together, but not enough, because this is a global experience, this is a global change. So Europe is only a little part of the world. So we need, and second, we need to work, policymakers, companies, engineers, scientific researchers, also religions, why not, or cultural people. So we need a multilateral approach and a multi-scientific approach. This is, in my opinion, the way in which we will be able to manage this transition.
That's great. I just want to recognize we're getting lots of people in the comments saying where they're from. So Father Andrea, we have people saying hi from Chicago, from, of course, Italy, Japan, Poland, San Francisco. So I want to recognize everyone saying hi to you, Father
For
Andrea.
example, you quote Japan. Is it correct? There is someone from Japan?
Yes.
Yes. For example, next July will be in Hiroshima, the place in which technology was terrible, to sign this declaration, the Rome Call, by the leaders of the Eastern religions.
Oh, wow.
Yes. All together in that place, we want to sign this document, because the role of the religions have a common duty to protect human life and the planet in which we live. So we can work together. This is a clear example of what I think when I say we need to work together.
That's great. Well, we will be taking questions from the audience. So if you are watching on StreamYard or another platform, feel free to drop it in and we should be able to get those. One of the interesting things to me, Father Andrea, is you had all these different business leaders sign it. You mentioned the CEO of Cisco and the head of IBM and Microsoft. Certainly a very impressive list of technology leaders. What is, in those conversations you've had with business leaders, what is the motivation for them to sign something like the Rome Call for AI ethics?
You must ask them, of course.
Yeah, of course.
In my experience, no. We arrived at their signature, not instantly. We worked with them for many months before, because it's not so simple. Exactly. We don't want to be naive. No. We know how complex is the situation, no? And how big is the field in which we are working. No? So how many billions of dollars are involved in this situation. But in the companies that sign this document, I found the perception that we need a vision, an anthropological and so ethical vision, if we want to produce something good in our companies. So I found an interest for human life. Yes, this is the point. After that, we can discuss a lot about details, about all the choices, all the policies, very, very complex. But we found this point. Okay, yes, we are a company. We are a big one of the most important company in the world. We produce a lot of new technologies every week. We understand that we need a vision in which to put our work. Yes, these are the words that I heard when I met them. Yeah.
I think that the Rome call is focused on humanity, but one of the great drivers, I think, in the world of food innovation over the past decade has been a move towards creating alternatives to animal agriculture, in part because it's not necessarily sustainable from a global climate perspective. Also, there's a lot of motivation from many people to move from animal agriculture because they see it as cruel. And I think one of the things I've observed over the past few years is AI is really starting to play a role in accelerating the advancement of new plant-based alternatives to meat. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on thinking about animal agriculture, and is there a church position that it maybe is something that it'd be good to explore alternatives because it oftentimes can be seen as cruel. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
I think that we must not close a door in front of a new technology, of a new research. Mm-hmm. If we have a new technology able to protect the planet, make our society more just, why not? Why not? At the same time, exactly because we need a just technology, we must work, because I want that this innovation could help not only the 20% of very high level society, very high, very rich society. So welcome to every technology that can help all the humanity and all the planet. Yes, it's a social problem. The real problem is a problem of justice. If we have a just technology, project and realized in a good way and used in a good way, welcome on board.
In the Rome Call for AI Ethics, I noted that one of the things that was the key principle was the talk about a need to shield human beings from being technologized and to rather humanize technology. One of the obvious big technology megatrends that we're seeing is the increased fusion of biology and digital technology. I mean, I guess the most blatant and obvious one is like things like what Elon Musk is doing, where he's starting to develop technology to implant chips in human brains. So that is a really interesting thing. It's the stuff from science fiction, but I'm curious what your position is on that, because when I look at the AI ethics principle of like, let's humanize technology rather than have us be technologized, this seems like maybe a tension there, or something that could be scary as we look at the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you are pointed one of the most interesting challenges of the next years we have. Yes, absolutely. The integration of human life biology and information technologies. Yes, there is 2 years ago, my academy dedicated its General Assembly to converging and emerging technologies. That is the real point. But this is not the future. This is the present. My father is 89 and is a pacemaker near the heart, and also a little chip in the heart because he's a little bit deaf. So, and I have a technological object. My glasses is a technological object, and also we always put together technological objects to help our bodies to live better, for promote our life. So the problem is always not to be negative in every sense, but okay, we have some opportunities. We must to study a lot about the way in which are products, the way in which are realized, the way in which are sold, and also in the way in which we are used. We can use these technologies. So if we have a technology well made, well projected, and well used that help us to live in a better way our human life, welcome, of course. But at the same time, this very deep connection oblige us to rediscover an old question. Okay, but who are we? Who is the man? Who is the woman? Because we are working on the limit, of the border from between a human life and a celestial and a tech life. So probably one of the oldest questions we have, who we are, is the real question of today.
I guess related to that is one of the big debates in the world of artificial intelligence is, or I think one of the worries of some of the biggest names in artificial intelligence, like Elon Musk and folks behind OpenAI, is, as it becomes more intelligent, as it becomes sentient, we have to think about that. So one of the goals of people developing AI is to create a true sentient AI. So as we think about that, as we start to think about AI thinking for itself, do you have thoughts on that? Or is that something that you worry about? Should we kind of develop strong ethical frameworks around, okay, once we have AI that thinks for itself and starts to act for itself, should we have a kill switch? Can you talk about that?
I don't know if it is correct to use words that usually we use for human life, think, intelligence, imagination, sense, cautions, no? I don't know if it is correct to use this word for a machine. A couple of weeks ago, one of the most important philosophers on this topic, that is an Italian, but he works in Harvard, that is Luciano Floridi, published a paper exactly on this point, because he wrote that, please remember that we use this word in an analogical sense, not in a specific sense. But if we use every day these words, people lost the idea that it's an analogical use and thinks that this is the specific way. In my opinion, a machine cannot think, because think that thought is a very complex human experience. Human experience is not very simple. Probably at this stage, we can say that these machines are able to reply some particular processes that we can imagine similar to our intelligence. So blah, 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 no, and go on.
Yeah.
There's this point. So I don't know if really we can speak about of a sentient or thinking AI in the next future. In the last, I don't know, in a century what we will be able to do, of course. But I don't know. But for example, human intelligence, for example, is an embodied intelligence. We are not only our brain. We are not only our intelligence. We are not only our data. So this reflection help us to protect our integrity and our complexity. Human life is more than a simple intelligent procedural.
Father, what are you most excited about when you think about the potential of AI and when it applies to our food system? What are some of the things you're excited to see it potentially solve for?
I'm not a really expert of the point, of course, but as I said before, I think that the really challenges is a social challenge today, also for food. And this is the point. So the point is not the restaurant with the robots that cook something without a man. This is not the point. I think that if we consider food and all the system food as one of the most powerful cultural experience that we have, one of the most social driver we have, one of the most crucial experience in which we have the duty to promote a human life. Everything, every technology, every invention, every research is involved in this kind, but in a cultural sense.
We have a question from Tiffany, and she asked, what do you guys, are you factoring in climate change when you're evaluating ethics in food AI? I imagine that the Catholic Church has some pretty strong thoughts around climate change and its impact on humanity.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that and how you're thinking about it with regards to ethics and that intersection with AI?
Yeah. I think we have two plans in which we can reflect on this point. The first is the easiest, of course, and is good practices and good way in which we can work on this topic. And for example, one of the challenge that AI is offering us is, for example, the energy consumed. The system of artificial intelligence are terrible, very expensive in terms of energy. For example, this is one of the classic points in which we can imagine the reflection. At the same time, if we are able to manage some processes on food, or for example, in other places of our human life, and we have this great instrument to promote a green way in which we can produce food or manage a different system, okay, welcome, of course. This is one of the points. But I think that we have a deepest plan that we must discuss. And so climate change obliges us to rethink the way in which we think our position in the world and our responsibilities in the world. So we are not the owner, the Lord, the master of the universe. No. In the past, we had this idea. Sometimes someone has this idea today, okay, I'm the boss of the world. But climate change, in my opinion, is a great opportunity to rethink the way in which we think our position in the world and our responsibilities. And for example, we discover that we are strictly connected with the other form of life in the world, in the planet. When I discovered that in my body there are more than 1.5 kilos of the biome, it's called biome.
Microbiome,
So 1.5 kilos of biome in myself, in my body. So I'm not a simple and single life, but I'm strictly connected. And the pandemic too. Pandemic showed us that we are strictly connected. A little crash in a market, probably in China, blocked all the world in a few weeks. So I think that this is the really challenge, the really grace that the climate change is offering us. And we need to work on this point.
Eleonora has a comment about, in Italy, there was a law that essentially outlawed cultivated meat. We've seen some of that in states here in like Florida in the United States. But you, as someone who's sitting in the Vatican, which is, you have a global perspective. You have your own position. So you are enthusiastic about certain things, but there's also going to be certain laws and regulations around new alternatives in certain places so can you talk about that tension where, you have this global perspective, you may be like in Italy, but you also, you're thinking more broadly?
Sorry, sorry, I lost some words, please.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
So there was a question regarding talking about how Italy has outlawed this idea of lab-grown meat, essentially meat grown in a bioreactor, not produced by animals on a farm, because they wanted to essentially, preserve the food culture of Italy. Hopefully I'm getting that right. But so we talked earlier about new alternatives to animal agriculture. So she was just commenting on the tension between what there might be a law in Italy, but you have a position around embracing new alternatives that may be helpful to society. So I just wanted to see if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I think we cannot think the same solution for all the places in the world. No, because exactly as I said, we have different cultures, different traditions, different situations. So we don't need to offer the same idea, the same subject, the same judgment on this. So what I think that I learned in this year is that the world is really very different, no? And so maybe a solution for a place is very good for a place, but not for another. And if you wanted to offer a global vision and a global management of the situation, probably this global research must be produced in different ways, not only the same everywhere. But we need, in this articulate management of the human society, we have some points that we cannot lose. And the points that we cannot lose are the poor and the weak. The poor and the weak. So the real target, in my opinion, are the poor and the weak. If we have a solution for them, we can also have a solution also in food field, no, for everyone. if we take care only the lucky, rich, and old white Western society, we lost the point. We lose the point.
Right. Right. Well, if anyone has any last questions for Father Andrea, that's great. I want to invite back to the stage our good friend Sarah. We're going to bring her back there. Hey, Sarah.
As usual, you are able to inspire me. Your conversation was amazing. Thank you so much for let us reflecting on these topics. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was a great conversation, and you were right. As promised, Father Andrea had such insights and thinking about this complex topic. It is a very complex topic, and how it applies more broadly. And putting a lens on this, Sarah, you really one of the things I got from you is, as we talked about this food AI collab, we shouldn't just talk to technology companies. We shouldn't just talk to people building the technology, but we need to talk about people thinking about it in a broader way. And Father Andrea, you really are thinking about it and helping to lead the charge for the Vatican on this very important topic.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, so Sarah, any final words before we say thank you and goodbye to Father Andrea?
No, I would say I go back and I start to answer to the deep question Father Andrea was sharing because every time it's important to frame also who we are, what's our role, what's our responsibility, because we know we all that we are player within the food ecosystem, and when we're talking about food, we are talking about something that is super important and is connecting all of us, is connected to the planet. It's how much power we have in our hands. So thank you so much for letting us reflect on that. I will deep dive by myself. And I invite the audience to keep going, staying in touch, because we want to explore even more in the next sessions with other friends that can help us to dive into this reflection.
That was beautiful, Sarah. And with that, I want to say thank you to everyone. Father Andrea, any final words before we go?
2 words. I think that the future needs 2 things: audacity and mercy. Audacity and mercy. This is the future.
Thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you again in the future. Sarah, as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll see you very soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you, friends.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Ciao.